Hello, welcome to my channel. Today I'm making a very special treat. We are going to make some lamingtons, and my method is a little different from others, but this is the way we make the lamingtons. Okay, over here I have 2 cups of flour that I sieved out, and then to my flour I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of baking powder, level teaspoons of baking powder. The rest of the ingredients are, I have 125 gram of margarine, half a cup of custard sugar. Thereafter I'll be using a teaspoon of vanilla essence, a pinch of salt, a cup of milk, and 3 large eggs. To my dish, I'm going to add in my margarine, and thereafter I will crack up my eggs separately, and then adding it to my drama. So that's my 3 eggs. Then I'm going to add in a teaspoon of vanilla essence. Then my custard sugar. And just a pinch of salt. Now I'm going to beat in this properly. Now I creamed these items together. They're nice and smooth. And I'm going to mix up my flour together with the baking powder that I added in. And then I'm going to drop it in to the wet. And gradually mix this together. And using my cup of milk, I'm going to mix all these ingredients together till it's a smooth finish. This is how my batter look, nice and creamy. If you feel your batter is looking a little dry, you can add a little bit more milk. I've got my oven preheating at 160 degrees, and thereafter I've got my oven baking tray. I buttered it up and put a little flour. In fact, you can use a lining, but the flour method is better. So I'm going to pour in my batter into the tray. I am going to spread my dough evenly to the tray. before I push it into the oven. Here you go. I flatten my batter evenly. And there's the spoon that I always used to save for my children to lick on it. Now I'm going to put my batter into the oven to bake for about half an hour. But I'll keep checking as the time goes. Now I'm ready to make in my syrup for my lamington. Now I'm going to cook up my syrup. My ingredients are 2 cups of water, 1 cup of milk, and I'm going to use 6 tablespoons of cocoa powder and half a cup of icing sugar and a tablespoon of margarine. Firstly, I put my stove on. I put it on to a moderate heat. I'll add in my 2 cups of water, come to the boil. Then in the meantime, I take my cocoa powder and I'll add in 6 tablespoons of powder. 6. And to that, I'm going to add in some cold water to give it a good mix so it won't become lumpy in the boiling water. My water has come to the boil and my cocoa powder has dissolved well. So I'm going to add in my cocoa into the water. And keep stirring. We are going to make a chocolate finish syrup. I'll just add in a little more water so I can get all this cocoa powder into the pot. And I'll keep stirring. And it allows this to come to the boil. My cocoa powder has boiled out properly. So now I'm going to add in my half a cup of icing sugar. Using icing sugar can thicken the syrup. And together with the icing sugar, I'm going to add in my lama. Bring this to a boil. I'm just going to check whether this cake is done. Yes, the knife came out clean, so it's done. I will now take my cake out from the oven and place it to cool completely while the syrup is still being cooked out, and even the syrup has to cool completely before use. The syrup is not very thick, it's sort of flowy, but it's reduced to half the amount. Now gradually I'm going to add in my cup of milk. And I'll allow this to get a little more thickened with the milk. and let it cool. Now my syrup is done, and I'm going to put my stove off and allow this to come to a room temperature. You can see it's not too thick and not too weak. I've cut this cake to 5 centimeter squares, and now I'll show you all how it's baked. Pick up a piece. There you are. It's baked in properly. Now I'm waiting for my syrup to come to a room temperature so I can coat the squares into the syrup, and then I have some desiccated coconut here, so I'm going to use a little at a time so it won't be too messy. Now my chocolate sauce is cooled down. I'm going to take my squares of cake and dip it into the chocolate sauce and then into the desiccated coconut, and then it becomes lamington. So you can just use 2 forks by just coating the coconut dust, not getting messed up all over. This is quite a messy. And then pick it up. The next one. So I'll be doing the same thing with the whole tray of cake. Here you go, your lovely fresh baked lamingtons, and in fact it will taste better the next day too when the syrup seeps in. This is our last video for the year, and I want to thank everyone who've been watching and commenting and subscribing. I want to say a very big thank you to all of y'all, and to my family and friends, and to my children that already encouraged me. Another year has passed us, so looking forward for next year. Thank you all everyone, and enjoy.